Okay, I'm going to demo how to tie the boards and the spine for this bamboo slip crisscross book cover. It's a flexible spine. It's based on a combination of the secret Belgian or crisscross binding and stab binding. You can see the design of the ties here, and bamboo slip scrolls. So you can see it's just flat like this, flexible, and it's not like a very sturdy, strong binding, but it's more of a decorative thing. And once you have this, then the pages get sewn on to the strings here, just like in the secret Belgian binding. Okay. Okay, I have two boards. They are, the pages go up to here, so it's the width of the page plus square on this side and then top and bottom. So I added about 1/8 of an inch on each side. Like I said, the spine itself is not super supportive, so I didn't want to have a huge space, a wide margin at the edge. And then I've got 4 of these bamboo strips here, which I actually, like if you have bamboo growing near you, you could harvest your own, but I took these from a couple of placemats that I got off of Amazon. So I got, it's kind of big to show on this camera here, but anyway, I got some cheap placemats. They came in a pack of 8 for like $12, and I've used 2 of them so far for various projects. They're thin enough you can just cut them to length with scissors and then sand the edges down a little bit. And then for string, I'm using this waxed Brazilian cord from Beadsmith, and I just got it at the craft store. Any sort of fairly thick cord would work. The wax is useful for lacing the bamboo together, so if your string is not waxed, I would recommend waxing it. Okay, I'm gonna pull off a lot of this. Let's see how much exactly I think this is about how much I used last time. It's a lot. This might be a little extra. So this is like almost 2 yards. I think it's more than I need, but better safe than sorry. And I'm going to put a needle on each end. Flatten that down. The wax helps with that too. Okay. Okay. And it's not cut cleanly. One other thing that will help with this is some pliers for helping to pull the needles through the holes in the board. But I'm also using them to help get the thread through these needles, because this thread is a little on the stiff side, thick side. Anyway. Okay. Oh, and the boards here, they have 4 holes in them. You could do a different number if you wanted. 4 is traditional for Chinese and Japanese stab binding. I have them in 5/8 of an inch from the side and the top, and then evenly spaced throughout, but you don't have to do that. You can do whatever you like. For binding the pages on, I do recommend having fairly close to the top. However, with this book here, which is all bamboo, you can see it only has 2 rows of lacing, and for that they're not super close to the top, and with 2 rows, what I did when I was sewing this together is I just added a row of French link in the middle and a row of kettle stitches above and below the bindings, just to make the pages a little more secure. But with this one, we're going to try to avoid that. Okay, so you start on your back cover. Mine are identical. I'm just going to double check if I have any preference as to which end papers I like better, which way I like them to face. Okay, I'm going to say this is my front, put it up here, and this is my back. Okay, so we're starting at the top on the back cover, and we're going to take needles and we're going to this first stitch you could also do with just, one stitch, go around it, but basically what we're doing here is making this loop. I can just nudge it over to get the right spot. Okay. Yeah, I made these are long. These are longer than I need. Okay. So now have both of the strings coming out this way, and you lift the bottom one up, top one down, take your first piece of bamboo here, put it on top of the one that used to be the top, and bring this one on top. So there is just a single twist here. It's not a complicated knot or anything, it's just a single twist. And then you're going to twist them again. The one that was on the bottom comes up, the one that was on the top goes down, lay down the next one, and try to keep them roughly lined up here, but if they get a little out of alignment, you can nudge them into the right position later. And you want to keep your string fairly snug, but again, you can tighten it up later and it'll be a little easier to tighten later. I'm always twisting these in the same direction so that they have this kind of diagonal rope style twist here. That is one way that bamboo slip scrolls were historically tied, but there's archaeological findings with the bindings going not twisting but just going up and down, so that one would always be this way and one would always be that way, and they wouldn't have that slant. So you can do it that way if you prefer, but I like the look of the slant. Comes the next one. And right now, if you pick it up, these can get all twisted out of place. So be careful if you're picking it up for any reason at this point, but you can pick it up carefully if you want to, just to sort of get a feel for it. Oh, and I did that twist in the wrong direction. That's what I was talking about. Okay. 3 and 4. And I'm doing 4 of these based on the length of the book I'll be binding. How I'm gonna, so you would want to just estimate how many you would need based on the thickness of your papers. So here I've got, these aren't the pages I'm using, they're just some I had sitting around, but I have 4 6-sheet signatures here, and that's, if I squeeze it tight, it's narrower, and if I just let them loose, it's a little bigger. So I'm going with 4 per bamboo strip, and I haven't actually sewn pages to any of these yet, so we'll see if I was right. But what you kind of have to do is, because you can't do fractions of these, you have to go with either 4 or 5 or 3 if you're doing something shorter or whatever. So you have to take the number of pages you're working with and split them evenly across across them when you're sewing them in. Okay, so I've got all 4 of these, and now it's time to attach the next cover. So this one goes below and comes up. This one goes above and goes down. You want to avoid getting the needle through the string, just make sure it fits on. And here's where the pliers come in handy. Okay, now these are all loose here. You want to snug them up, but not too much, or you'll run into that. So and this will get a lot easier to work with once you do the second row and they're not going every which way. Okay, so lift it up. You can see they're snug enough to be held together. They're not so tight that they're trying to get on top of each other. Right now you could untwist it, which you don't want to do, so be careful when you're holding it up like this, and you will need to lift it up for some of the next steps. Okay, now before you go on to the next hole, you have to take one of these, just one. We're not going with both the strings this time. We're just taking one of them. It can be the top wrapping around this way or bottom wrapping around this way. Doesn't really matter. I'm gonna go with the one from below because then I can see where it's gonna see what it's going to look like when I poke it through the top and get it where I want it to be. Again, pliers are useful here. And snug that up. Okay. All right. That is the first tier done. You can adjust the positions a little bit. You can still tighten it up some at this point if you feel like you need to. And technically this is all one thread, so you can always tighten it up, but it'll get harder the further you are from what you need to do. Okay. Now I'm going to lift this up, put this up through the next hole. Bottom thread goes up, top thread goes down, and keep them from tangling on each other. Okay. Okay. These ones can be as snug as you can get them because there's nothing really to over tighten. It's just wrapped around the board. Okay, now we're going backwards. From below comes here, from above here, and take the one from above and wrap it below the next bamboo strip. Twist the next one. Below the next one. Next one, then below the board, I'm going to turn it over like this, below the board, and then up through it. And this one goes above the board and down. Okay, now as you can see, they stay together a lot better when you lift it up. And again, this one there, you can nudge them back into place. Okay, now we've come back across, but before we can go on to the next row this way, we've got to take care of this gap here. So just like this, you can use either one of them, of your strings. I will go with the longer one because I want to keep them kind of an even length. So the longer one's the one on the bottom for me. I'm going to go up. And back down. Except that one is poking through the string, which I don't want, so I'm gonna go. Back. Okay. Oh, I got a little tangled in these. Okay. So, as you can see, these strings that come this way aren't really that structural. They're just decorative. They're meant to look like the strings on a stab binding, but it's really just the ones that go this way that are actually what's holding this together. Okay. There we go. Yep, that's looking good. There's a little gap between each one. That's fine. Okay. On to the next one. Now, these are not going to look completely straight because of the twist that is going on there, but if you think they look like way curved out of shape, you can just nudge them up and make sure you snug them up so that they're not too loose when you do that. Okay, now we're gonna go through here for the last one, and this is a little bit different because you can't go straight across. Since you're not coming back, you can't go straight across. You have to go around here first. So take one of them. It really doesn't matter which one. Move it around. Okay. One on top, one on bottom, just like before. Okay. Once you're this far along and they're basically already held in place, it becomes much more like just like weaving in and out than it was before. So it's pretty straightforward once you get this far along. So I say this one wants to get away from me. They all want to slip up. Okay. Up. Down. What I'm doing when I lift this up between each one is basically to check that there's no loose threads or bigger gaps on the bottom or top anywhere, because like if you had it a lot looser at the top than the bottom, then the whole thing would curve, which wouldn't be great. This seems fine. Okay, so I'm gonna go one of them to go around here. Oh, okay, mouth. We're almost done with it. Go through the strings. Okay, now we just have this last one here. As you can probably figure out, if I actually bring it around and back up, then we will have extra thread on the front. So we're not going to, we're just going to flip it over, take this last string from the front, loop it through here, loop it under, and then just tie a knot. After you've got it in the right place. Squish it down a little bit. And okay. And there it is. I'm gonna just a little bit. Okay, there's the cover. There you go.